to apologize for the lack of the screencasts lately. Partially, I felt that some of the material was pretty clear, and I didn't want to waste extra time, repeating it, but also I was partially occupied with the marking that came with the end of the last unit and making sure everyone's marks are up to date, and they finally are. If you go outside room 326 to see the updated mark book printouts. And so I thought maybe now that we're moving into Unit 2 and moving towards sort of the culminating activity, which is going to be done in January, that I wanted to encourage you to pay special attention to Unit 2, Activity 2, or Unit 2, Chapter 2, mapping the trends. Because I think the activity of selecting a country that is a perfect foreign market for a Canadian company to target, and then making a pitch for that board of directors to expand to that country. It would be great if you could demonstrate your critical thinking by referring to some of the changes that they would be taking advantage of. It focuses on emerging markets, how a lot of the world population growth is occurring in Asia. Emerging markets include BRICS, like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and also the rest of the G20. Even a country like Indonesia has a lot of economic opportunities, and their economy is growing a lot. Maybe that might be a theme you could capitalize on, to pick one of the fastest growing, emerging markets. It is also talking a little bit about protectionism. I think that even since the textbook content was written, that with some of the tariffs in the United States, Buy American, Brexit, that even big economic powers are choosing to put up trade barriers, and the Canadian company might want to choose another country, perhaps one of the many that Canada has a free trade agreement with, as a way to expand effectively. It seems there's a lot more populism, and that's leading to sort of countries, restricting some of their trade. So maybe have a look at who Canada has some free trade agreements with. And while all the trends in the textbook content could be relevant, maybe I'll also focus on urbanization, because it is going to occur in African and Asian countries, maybe areas that you might not have thought of. And it's also linked a bit to the Green Revolution, because these urban areas are becoming highly polluted areas. And so that might be an opportunity, for a Canadian company that wants to offer, services to a urbanizing country because they have a younger demographic, or perhaps it, can deal with sort of some of their pollution concerns. Maybe understand that, you could look at where are some of the fastest growing cities, and understand that there's probably a lot of economic development happening in those cities, and that would add to the buying power of the customers there. So please have a look at that. It does focus a lot on China and innovation in general, Unit 2, Chapter 2. But have a look at all of the different trends that are in the sort of the first third of the unit. And as you read them, maybe think also, just as a bit of an exercise to help you apply the concepts, it's like, how has this, affected us? It's talking about the power of the people. How have, the average person maybe gained a little more power in terms of, the ability to have a say in social media, the ability to sort of microfinance, to give people small loans. How have you seen how security has changed in recent years? And that might help you take some of those concepts and nail them down into a more real-life example, and definitely include them in your culminating. I'll post a couple of links that will go with this little audio file that might get you or your mind going and help you start thinking about the culminating activity. Have a good day.